Everybody, thank you guys for coming out. How about Clay Zombies, huh? So right now we're going to do a quick Q&A with the director and actor in the film, Mr. Jolly, and of course, Mr. Kirk.
Yeah, thanks for being a fun crowd. I think after a fun concert like that, just watching some comedy and laughing with your friends, it was the perfect atmosphere, so I had a blast listening to you guys and all that. Did anybody have a question?
I did. So, what made you go with Clay Zombies over regular zombies?
Yeah, it was basically just money, you know? Yeah, it was like, I really loved the genre, you know, loved George, like, fell in love as soon as I saw Dawn of the Dead. I was like, you can have these horror movies with these awesome written characters, like, this is blowing my mind. So I knew I wanted to do it. And I was tired of people going through the apocalypse without ever mentioning their pets. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a zombie movie, and it's gonna be about a guy or a gal who goes and gets their dog because they care about him. And I start calling makeup artists. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. You know, I'm gonna make a film. So, you know, the original Clay Zombies, the short, I start calling different makeup artists I find on Facebook groups and stuff. And, you know, I'm not working a very well-paying job or anything like that, and they're sending back astronomical numbers. It's like, all right, this ain't going to happen. So I can do stop motion though, and it could be a comedy. So we switched over to the Clay Zombies because that was affordable, and it turned out to be a lot of fun.
Mr. Kirk, what was it like being a bad guy?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. It was so good to be able to, you know, I don't have it in me to shoot a child, you know, but in make-believe land, you can do that stuff and, you know, no one's going to throw tomatoes at you. But, you know, it was really fun to be able to play a villain So Jake here, Mr. Jolly, we met in high school, and then we lost connection for, I don't know, over a decade. And then he reached back out to me. I was working for a local talent agency in Ohio, just doing some local commercial work and stuff. And he said, "Hey, Gabe, I don't know if you remember me from high school, but I hear you're into acting. I'm into, you know, making film." And so we reconnected. And he says, "I have this thing called, you know, Clay Zombies." And he'd already done a short version of this, and he showed it to me, and I thought it looked really good. And he said, "I have this new idea." I says, "I want to make another one," and then he talked about making a feature-length film. And he's like, "And I want you to play the bad guy." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Is there anything in particular you think that made you think that I have the face of a bad guy? Because I'm not a big guy. I'm not a big guy." They say I have a baby face. I'm not very intimidating, so I'm like, what is it that made you think that I would be a good bad guy? And he just said something like, because I remember you from study hall back in high school, and you had this kind of bad boy thing going on. I'm like, yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't do that stuff anymore. I don't pretend. They all pretend, by the way, you know. And I'm like, he's like, but I just know, I think that you can do it, but you can do it in this like funny, stupid way. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll go for it. But it was so much fun playing the bad guy, being stupid, getting to be something that is very different than what I would ever be able to do in reality. But when you do it in make-believe land, you can pretend to be as bad as you want.
Well, and Gabe's being a little humble. The thing about Emilio is he had a plan, but it fell apart. He's just going by the seat of his pants. And Gabe is a master improver. So a lot of times when he'd do the speeches in public and stuff like that, you know, I'd be like, all right, Gabe, go ahead and go up and give your Emilio speech. He's like, but there's no lines. I was like, yeah, because he's making it up too. So, and you know, obviously, I think he did an awesome job. I remember just cracking up at the dailies, and my wife did too, and they knocked it out of the park.
It was kind of a dangerous thing for them to just stick a microphone in my hand. We got a crowd of like 40 extras to sit there, the crowd that we had, and we rented out, since Emilio's starting his own cult, so we rented out, you know, this place, and, you know, to be able to film this, and I had this like toga robe. We were going with like Heaven's Gate style from like the 1990s, if anybody remembers that. And he said, all right, Gabe, just start talking. And I'm like, I don't know what to say, you know. And I'm like, I'm probably going to say something really offensive, so you're going to have to stop me at some point. And so they're like, no, just start talking. And so I just start saying stuff, and he just decided to take the best of it. But yeah, being able to improv, we had a script. He wrote all of that stuff, all those lines. That's all Jake who wrote all of that stuff. But with some of our people, some of our actors are theater actors, and they're really used to improv. The guy Timothy, you see the guy with the lab coat who got his eye poked out, and he had to wear the bandage over him. That's Alex Caperton. He even taught improv. He improvs so well. So many of his lines were improv. That was just what Alex was thinking of on the fly. But yeah, it was a fantastic time.
Why'd you make the guy shave his mustache? I cried a little.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny is like, I found having an open mind, and like when your actors have, you know, a love for their character, they'll come to you with ideas. And it was actually Harrison's idea, who plays Garrison in the movie, but he's like, yeah, do you think it'd be funny if like I shave off my mustache and it'd be like in slow motion and like Cassidy doesn't like it? I was like, yeah, and I'm gonna put this like beautiful Twin Peaks music that completely doesn't fit. It's like, so yeah, I love that scene. But it is good mustache.
So the other question, how did you end up getting it aligned with Space Brains 3D and getting this in 3D?
Yeah, so yeah, and I don't remember if I did, but in my head I was like, I gotta thank Dan too when I first get up here. Dan Persons from Space Brains 3D. So basically I saw him on a YouTube podcast about physical media, which, you know, I love Blu-rays, 4K, DVDs, all that stuff. And one day there's this guy with all this passion about 3D movies, and he's got this cool mantra and stuff. And I was like, wow, like his passion for 3D and movies is so compelling. And I was just about done with Clay Zombies, and you know, love the film. And I was like, well, maybe he would be interested in making it 3D, so I just reached out. And thankfully, you know, after a while, he came back and said, yeah, I'd like to make it 3D, and we went from there.
Okay, I have a question. Well, first I have a comment, which is this is the funniest movie that ever made me cry so hard.
Oh. Well, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, sure. So my question is, was the FBI person a teacher? Because the way she drank that water, she has to be.
Yeah, that's so funny. So she, no, well, I think she might teach acting sometimes on the side, and she does write children's books. But it was one of those things on set again where, you know, I trusted my actors again, where she said, I want this character to have a big gulp and drink it. And I just added the sound effect later and really thought it was funny, and I just went from there. I don't know. All right, I have a question.
There's a lot of characters in the movie, and I was curious if it was like you envisioned the characters first and then found the actors for the role, or if you know a lot of these people and you thought, this is a person who's funny or interesting and entertaining, and I got to find a way to, this is what the fictional version of them would be that I'd love to get into the movie. Like, what direction that go in?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. Yeah, well, I did kind of use a technique, I think, for low-budget filmmaking, right? Like, I didn't really have too many contacts when I'm trying to do this. And I did know some actors, and like, one thing with Gabe is I knew he could do, like, we had done a Survivor audition tape together, and he was playing this villain character in it, and I was like, yeah, like, that person you're playing is, like, could be Emilio, so I kind of kept that in the back of my mind. And like Chad in the movie, the guy who has the big guns and he's kind of silly in the movie, he's got a big heart, and I knew that he would bring that on screen too. So I kind of did have people in mind for everybody I wrote, pretty much in the film. Like I knew Jessica in the film. She's very tough, but she's very caring about the people she cares about. So yeah, a lot of it drew inspiration. Jazzy, who played Christoph, though, is really cool, and he's not crazy and thinks he's a vampire hunter. So that's kind of what I did. If that makes any sense.
So this is to both of you. was somebody actually acting like they were charging you for the clay zombies, or were you just acting like no one was there?
Yeah, a lot of times, so, and, you know, anybody out there, even if you know, I just hope more stop motion mixed with live action films come out. I love the style, big fan of Ray Harryhausen. But one thing you do, or at least I did, is you go to a set, you take pictures of the set, you kind of plan out the shots, like where you're going to animate the zombies coming from. That way it makes it easier on you later, where you didn't just like do shots and then try to add the zombies in. But anyways, the reason I'm saying that is I would kind of have it pre-planned, and sometimes I'd use a green pool noodle, or Gabe or another actor would help me out and be walking in the background, because it might have been Gabe, but somebody was saying you can't fake moving your eyes around very well. You kind of actually need to follow something with your eyes. So yeah, we'd always try to have, and the scene, one of my favorites with Dave, where he's killing all the zombies with different objects, I would say like, this one's gonna come at you from this, and we'd rehearse it. And I love the passion he had, because by the time he was done killing all those fake zombies, he was like drenched, and he really gave it his all. And I think it really paid off.
Yeah, I interacted with them a little less in those scenes, except for like at the very end with the culminating scene where Emilio turns all the crowd into clay zombies, where Jake asked me, he said he wanted me to have, like, Emilio to have like this moment where he's seeing the evil that he did, but then he kind of has this realization of actually how horrible this is for a moment, and he recoils. But I watched a lot of the other actors as they interacted, because, you know, a lot of times, like this big fight scene that you see in the very end, where they're fighting all of the crowd that turn into zombies, is I saw them as I'm sitting there behind the camera when it's not my turn to be on, and I'm seeing Jessica Rader there with the big machete jumping off. She jumps off the stage, and it's funny because there's nothing there at all, and you just see her jump off with a machete. She's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's funny because you look at it and you're like, this is going to look really bad, like in your thought. But then he shows me after he's done all the claymation, and I look at it and it looks so good. Like, it really looked like she was jumping off the stage and chopping a zombie in half. And same with the other actors. They really did look like they were fighting them. And it is true, because he had mentioned it. When you try to look out like this just for someone being an actor, and you're pretending like you're seeing something move across, your eyes will stop every second like this. You can't track all the way and it looked believable. So you actually have to have somebody carry an object so that you can track your eyes. Otherwise, it's going to look a little bit strange. So we would have people. One of the great things about being in independent film is you get to do background work as well. So you do your own stunts. You got to be your own Tom Cruise out there, you know, and you got to do it all. And that includes sometimes you got to do some of the extra work. In fact, I did have one other interaction with a zombie. On the very first zombie kill, I had to be an extra because we didn't have enough extras on this other day that we were filming. So right there at the very beginning, when Sheriff Locke first walks out, you see a guy bending over like this and getting eaten, chopped, bit in half. And that's me getting killed by a zombie. So
yeah, thanks again for doing that.
You got to just like, oh no, there's a zombie, So yeah, it can be a little bit tricky, but it's thankfully special effects, made it work.
Yeah, thanks again for doing that. I think he went out with like 3 different wigs that day, got it for me, and I only ended up using like one of them.
How long did the claymation take?
It's kind of hard to say because it took a lot of pictures and I'd have to take breaks because you've got to be alone for so long. And I remember Tiff from Fire Tiger, who wrote the awesome Clay Zombies theme song, even kind of made fun of me about it later, where she was like, yeah, everyone else went on with their lives and you were just in a room by yourself taking pictures. And it was like a really funny roast at the time. But it takes a long time. But with AI technology coming out, like a lot of the rigs that I'd have the zombies being held up by, like now you can go to a website and just like click on the rig and be like, get rid of that. And that saves you like, 10 hours worth of rotoscoping. So it ended up getting the process got faster and faster. But like, I remember the scene before the AI technology where just where Sheriff Locke puts the drill in that zombie's face, I had to roto that by hand, and I did keep track, and that was 16 hours by itself. So some of it could add up, but it was a lot of fun too, just a lot of time alone.
So how was it to work with Diane Franklin, and how did she end up in the music video at the end?
Yeah, so Diane Franklin was only because of, I was scared because I didn't know what was going to happen in the world because it was COVID, and I thought I'm going to die any day now, and I want to have this cool character in my film that's like the Warriors DJ, and my wife's like, who would you want the most to be in this DJ role? And I was like, Diane Franklin from Better Off Dead. It's like my favorite movie. She's, in Bill and Ted, which is like my second favorite movie. So she's like, well, why don't, you just reach out to her? And the only reason I was brave enough to do it was just because I was like, what do I got to lose? I could die tomorrow. So I reached out to her, and she was like, she asked for a script, and I sent it to her, and she's like, this made me laugh. It's like something from Adult Swim, and I'm excited to play a DJ. People don't offer me stuff like that. So, and I sent her like everything I could to try to make it more interesting. Like we already had poster art made, and I showed her clips, and she was really awesome. She's a great collaborator. She gives great feedback, and she puts her heart into it. She's the kind of celebrity you want to meet. She's a real person who cares about people. And so the thing is Fire Tiger lives in California, okay? And I'm from Ohio. But I'd heard them, and I was like, they could make an awesome theme song. So I ended up asking them and asked them to use other songs in the movie. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if you guys did a music video too? Like in all the 90s movies when they did music videos. That'd be sweet. And one day, all of a sudden, they're just like, yeah, we're going to meet Diane Franklin in the studio, and we're going to film a music video together. I was like, what? So she showed up at the set, and she was like, how do you guys know Jake Jolly? And they're like, we don't know Jake Jolly. He just asked us to do the theme song. How do you know Jake Jolly? And she's like, I don't. He just asked me to be in this movie. So that's how that happened. It was pretty cool.
Anybody else got any questions? Because I'm taking up all the questions here.
You already answered the soundtrack question I wanted to ask, so that's cool.
So at the end, he gets shot and he's screamed. Sequel?
That's always the hope, There were things in the movie that were only there because I was hoping there'd be a sequel one day. So we're going to try to do one feature in between called Your Pizza's Gonna Be Late Because of Aliens. And then hopefully Clay Zombies 2. Yeah, that's hopefully it happens, Would anybody want to see a Clay Zombies 2?
Yeah.
And don't worry, you have a little something to tide you over. There was a Christmas special in 2023 that is also available. It's over 20 minutes, and it kind of continues the story out just a little bit more.
It's just a little bit more storybooky. It's got that holiday flavor.
So the other question, what made you put the little PCA on the end of the movie at the end credits with the dogs?
Yeah, so big dog lover here. That's what inspired the whole plot of the film is when I got married to my wife, she had a Chihuahua since she was 16, and their friendship was like so inspiring. It's like, I've never seen a friendship like this. So she passed away, and this rescue needed someone to take a pit. And I'm not proud of this. We were like, ugh, we don't want a pit, right? And once again, not proud of that. But I was like, we have a home. Like, let's help this dog. Everybody says she's so good, and she's been stuck in the place for like 3 months. So anyways, we adopt her. She's like the best dog ever, seriously. Never did anything wrong, never had an accident, never got aggressive. So to me, it was just important to show that in the movie too, because it's just kind of BS, the whole pit stereotype. So just wanted to try to do something to raise awareness.
And the
One other question I had was, you guys used green for the vision of the zombies, and then when they got shot, it turned to red. Was that something that you pre-planned, or was that just like, hey, you know what would be really cool?
Yeah, that was basically what happened. Is I did think it would be cool to just change it to red. Yeah, I didn't think about that till post because it was kind of predator at first, where it was like almost heat vision. And I was like, I didn't really like that. And plus, the zombies have green coming out of their eye sockets anyways. So I was like, it'd probably be green. I don't know why it would be pink and purple. So, and then and then with that Kristoff stabbing him with the stake, I was like, it'd be sick if this went down red like 007 and N64.
So how long did it take to actually get this film wrapped up and actually out to the public once you were done filming?
Well, so I did the first short we talked about in 2016, basically the basic concept with that Chihuahua we were talking about. And then in 2017, I brought Gabe in and introduced the villain. And they were like, and then Gabe and other cast members were like, dude, let's make this a movie, man. We're having a blast. We like it. Let's make it a movie. So we started like the official movie in like 2019, where we refilmed the first short and stuff like that. And then planned on finishing it in 2020, but then you guys know what happened, and then finished it in 2021.
One more question. You still waiting for the magic airplane?
Yeah, I was thinking of, as I was just, throwing out different random statements that was coming into my mind. I don't know, it's just like that statement or that joke from the movie Airplane, I think 1980 or so was when that movie came out. And I think that was a line from there, and it just came into my mind. But still waiting on that magic airplane to take us away.
Maybe it'll come in the sequel.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully, yeah. I've talked with Jake. Hopefully, we down the road, as he mentioned, there's a couple other projects that we're working on right now that we're hoping will give us some more traction. But that's kind of the hope, is when you make something like this that's kind of special. Everyone, I can just speak for all the other actors that they've all been very vocal about how excited they were, how much fun they had on this set, because when you do work in any sort of set, not all the sets are happy. A lot of times you hear horror stories. People had a horrible time on set. The director was, drunk and abusive, or people didn't get along. They hate each other. It was the complete opposite on this. And I've been on some sets where that was not good. This set was completely different. Jake was so kind and gracious to everybody. It was so much fun. There was a lot of camaraderie. There was no cattiness or gossip or anything. Everyone just genuinely got along, and we kind of got a high off of it. And we had so much fun. We want to make another one. And people have asked him, since it came out 3 years ago, when are you going to make another one? And it would be a matter of funding to get this off the ground, but there's so many ideas that we've even talked about, and Jake has told me that he has other ideas that he'd like to do. It would just be a matter of crowdfunding and getting the script that he wanted and making it happen. So yeah, hopefully that happens.
So one last question here. Your distribution seems like it was pretty good. I think you guys are streaming on a couple of services now. Do you have any plans for the 3D version to go out streaming or anything like that?
Not currently. That kind of gets complicated. That would be cool though. But right now there are no plans for that. But Dan does sell awesome physical media of Clay Zombies on 3D on DVD, and on his Etsy site. He's got all kinds of really cool 3D movies like Phantom Planet, Gamera, House on Haunted Hill. So he's doing a lot of really cool work.
Which is also available in the lobby at their merch table if you drop in the hint. Anybody else? All right, cool. So thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Play Zombies, everybody.
Thank you all so much for coming.
Make sure you follow Play Zombies on all the social medias. Make sure you follow Your Friends from Hell and Horror Depot. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.